Good morning, guys. So last week we talked about radical equations. I call them square root equations. They're the same thing. Radical is just a term that means no matter if you're squaring or square rooting, okay? So it's a different word, same thing. A square root sign is called a radical. So that's where that word comes from. It's not somewhere out of the ordinary. It's nothing different from what you've been doing, okay? Today we're going to talk about two-step ones. So, and specifically, we're going to talk about two-step radical equations where the second step is on the outside of the exponent or the square root, meaning it's not inside the square root and it's not also being squared with x. We'll look at those tomorrow, okay? So today, the ones that we're going to look at are outside of the exponent or square root that you're dealing with. So for instance, if I have x squared divided by 2 equals 8. This is not it's connected, but it's not like inside with this x. If it was inside with the x, it would be in parentheses x minus 2 squared, or x over 2 squared. It would look like that. This is totally separate from this, okay? So for all of them, when they're outside of a radical function that we're dealing with, we're going to do the outside one first. So for this one, the first thing we're going to do is get rid of this divided by 2. We do that by multiplying by 2. So if we multiply each side by 2, those cancel. And here we're left with x squared equals 16. Okay? Now you know that you can take the square root on each side. So if we take the square root, those cancel out. The square root of 16 plus or minus 4. Okay, let's try another one that looks just with an x squared also. Let's say we have this one. Let's say we have x squared plus 4 equals 29. Again, because this 4 is not in parentheses with this x, it's on the outside, which means we're going to get rid of this first. So the opposite of adding 4 would be to subtract 4. So we're going to subtract 4 on each side. We do that here, they cancel. We do it here, we're left with x squared equals 25. Now we can do the step we're used to doing, and we can take the square root on each side. If we do it on this side, they cancel. We do it over here, we get that x equals plus or minus 5. And that's all. Okay? If you have questions, just let me know. All the notes are right below here for you. Okay? Essentially what we do when it's outside of our function, we will always do the addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division first. Then we take care of the square or the square root, okay? Let's look at some square root ones. Say I have 3 square root of x equals 21. This 3 is outside of our square root, so we're gonna get rid of that first. Because it's just next to it, that means it's being multiplied. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we're gonna divide each side here by 3. And we're left with the square root of x on this side. 21 divided by 3, 7. Okay, now we have a square root this time. The opposite of a square root would be squaring it. So on this one, we just have to square to get rid of that. If we square this side, then we have to square this side. So we're left with x equals 7 squared, which is 49. All right, let's try this one. Let's say I have the square root of x minus 7 equals 10. Again, this is outside of our square root function, so we're going to take care of it first. So the opposite of subtracting 7 would be to add 7 to each side. Okay, those cancel. So we're left with the square root of x equals 17. The opposite of square rooting something would be to square it. So if we square each side, those cancel, and we're left with x equals 17 squared. Pop it in your calculator. 17 times 17 should give you 289. Okay, so to wrap up, if it's outside of our function that we're dealing with, so it's outside of the square root sign, so it's added or subtracted on, or it's multiplied by, divided by, we take care of the addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division first. After we do that and we get the square root or the square by itself, then we do the opposite of that. So we either take a square root or we square both sides, just like you saw. I know this part can be a little confusing. You guys did really, really great last week, so keep it up. But if you need any help, just let me know. We can get on a Zoom call. We can talk about it. We'll figure it out. And the notes are right below here, okay? And good luck. Let me know how I can help you.